Friends, welcome to the webinar. We will wait for another 5 or a couple of minutes to allow everybody to log in before we start. Please be patient with us. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar conducted by Greenback with SRTEPC. I would like to welcome Mr. Ronak Rughani, the chairman of SRTEPC, for taking this initiative and making this webinar a reality. I would hand over the mic to Mr. Rughani so that he can address the members. And after that, we will do a quick introduction to the speakers and get along with the webinar without wasting time. Mr. Ronak ji, over to you.
Thank you, Manish ji. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. Friends, you see, we've tied up with Greenback Advisory Services since the past 2 years, and we've been sending you notifications about these the dollar movements and all the other prices, etc., and their weekly reports as well. So as you can see, these are all disturbing times wherein a lot of exporters have been facing cancellations of orders. Some of you all have hedged your currencies, and now what steps to take for cancellations, and what are the options available to protect yourself from the forex volatility, etc. So I'm sure the panel is going to enlighten us better on how to protect ourselves and other options available to protect ourselves, etc. So we look forward to this session. Once the session ends, please feel free to, I'm sure there's a question and answer session as well towards the end. So please feel free to ask any questions or any queries that you may have. Over to you, Manish ji, again for introducing the other panelists. Thank you.
Ronak ji, thank you very much. Yes, friends, we have a question and answer session. So the way this webinar is designed is you have 15 minutes talk from 2 speakers, which takes 30 minutes. And from there on, it's question and answer. You can ask as many questions as you want. We'll be more than happy to answer to the best of our abilities. So without wasting time, let me quickly start introducing our 2 speakers today. The first one is Ganesh Srinivasan. He is a veteran of the industry. He's an MBA in finance and has spent 15 years with Greenback advising clients on risk management and financing. He has also spent 5 years of his life in the treasury of ICICI Bank. So he brings in the blend between both the consulting side and the banking side, which I hope you can use to the max. Along with him is Narendra Mahajani, who is also a veteran of the finance industry. He has spent more than 15 years in corporates, and he's finally decided to switch to consultancy and to move to the other side of the table. Narendra brings with him 25 years of experience. He is a rank-holding cost accountant and a chartered accountant. His ability to find solutions to complex problems set him apart from the rest. He is a popular speaker who has a knack of explaining complex issues in finance through simple examples of both Sholay and cricket. I look forward to some Sholay and cricket in the presentations today. And without wasting much time, over to Ganesh to take over this presentation. Ganesh.
Yeah, thank you, Manish, for that introduction. Very good afternoon to all of you. Hope that you and your near ones are safe and fine. I, on behalf of Greenback, thank all of you for taking out your time today and welcome each one of you to this webinar, which will be addressing the current pains faced by both exporters and importers due to the lockdown imposed, which is necessitated by the unforeseen spread of novel coronavirus. The pandemic has affected the entire globe, and India remains no exception. Although few parts of the country are relaxing restrictions now, it is still a question mark as to when and how soon the country can get back to normal business days. As a result of this, production, sales, distribution, and the entire supply chain has got disrupted and has left a deep gash in businesses across sectors, including synthetics and textiles. We will have more challenges ahead of us in the post-new COVID environment. In this background, today we will be highlighting the pain points faced by exporters and importers in matters concerning forex risk and liquidity issues. I firstly address issues faced by exporters. One of the biggest issues faced is loss on cancellation of forward contracts due to delayed inward remittances and or order cancellations as demand has crashed across the globe. The fallout of this is twofold. Forward contracts are getting cancelled and PCFC which were drawn are getting deferred. Now, non-delivery of dollars for PCFC drawn earlier has another ramification. The PCFC gets crystallized in INR at current spot rates and will be charged penal interest and will be treated as INR borrowing ab initio. Some banks, of course, like SBI and PNB are providing term loans to finance these losses. In the current scenario, the credit risk of buyers across the globe has changed dramatically. Buyers who were top rated earlier have seen rating downgrades and they are at risk for likely default. Recent example is of JC Penney, who was rated a very good buyer but has filed for bankruptcy now. Now let's see what are the issues faced by importers. We have very tricky situation on hand now. If you have imported raw materials and are expecting to use those, use your export receivables to retire the import liability, then in case the export proceeds are delayed or are not coming through, the import liability has to be paid and there could be crystallized forex losses due to the sharp depreciation in the rupee. Since you may have procured raw materials in bulk quantities, there could be large import liabilities. If the export remittances are not coming in, the import payments are getting due, you will have liquidity issue as well as cash flow mismatches. Earlier, it was easy with buyer's credit structure, but now buyer's credit is getting more and more challenging, especially after RBI banned the LOU route. The procedural part for buyer's credit has got very long and cumbersome. Some banks still do not have a product defined as buyer's credit and hence struggling to provide this facility to customers. There are also supply chain issues where you are able to import, but the goods are getting stuck at various ports and you may find it difficult to move them to your factories. This obviously affects business. We expect this to improve as we move ahead and restrictions get relaxed. Now can you please? Yeah. Now we come to Greenback's role in this scenario. We know that the moment you make your import payment, you crystallize your loss. Hence, we suggest importers should look to extend their due dates of their import liabilities, as the virus may not last forever and things will get better as we go ahead. We also learn from neighboring countries like China, Korea, and Europe that the virus seems to have peaked and hence the lockdown in those countries are slowly getting relaxed. We expect the same to happen in India too, soon as parts are gradually opening. As a result, we consider We can consider postponing import payments instead of crystallizing the loss and taking a bet that rupee may not depreciate so sharply, as you could also look to get liquidity advantage. Due to the ongoing crisis, today one more challenge is to get to know the credit risk of the buyer. That is why we feel exporters should consider factoring for their export receivables. This is a without recourse structure with no collaterals and is also off balance sheet. We also suggest that for domestic sales, if your buyers are highly rated companies, we can work on receivable financing. We therefore strongly recommend credit insurance to avoid default. It will also help in getting financing on a without recourse basis for your exports. The risk of the buyer defaulting or delaying payments is transferred to the insurance company. This will also ensure exporters depend less on banks for post-shipment credit. If you have any doubts on the above, we request you to please get in touch with us on a one-to-one basis and for customized solutions depending on the specific case. Now coming to way forward. Hedging is a proactive process to be done with a proper MIS and benchmark for all exposures. This will bring in discipline and also a very scientific method to risk management. Due to large uncertainties and huge volatility, corporates should look to have a well-defined forex risk management policy, which takes into consideration all aspects of the business. Corporates should also utilize alternative hedging products such as premium paying options apart from forward contracts. Options will not only help in protecting the costing of the transaction, but will also help in participation in case of a favorable currency movement. It will act as an insurance in times like this. Hedging is getting more and more difficult with banks at this time due to limit issues and also due to restricted timings of the market. We have alternative hedging platform of the currency exchange, which my colleague Mr. Narendra will explain in detail. Over to Mr. Narendra.
Thank you, Ganesh. At the outset, I thank SRT, PC and Ronak ji for inviting us here today. I am taking the topic today. What are the alternate avenues to hedge foreign exchange? So traditionally, we had been hedging the foreign exchange with the banks. It is known as OTC market. Some corporates and foreign financial institutions also have avenue of hedging the currency risk outside India, that is called as non-derivable forward market, NDF. But there is a third avenue, which is though existing for quite some time, many people are still not using it. That is Indian exchanges like National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange and Metropolitan, who have a currency derivative segment. So currency derivatives exchange, they trade contracts which are in the nature of futures and options. So when you hedge forex in your bank, we do forward contract. So on a specific day, you have to give either the delivery of your exports or you have to take the delivery for your imports. While as exchange trade in a futures contract, which has a fixed maturity date, which is end of the month. And on that day, the contract close at the RBI reference rate prevailing in the afternoon at 12:30. Similarly, options are also traded. Options have two maturities. One is a weekly and second is a monthly. At any point of time, we have 12 monthly contracts available, and exchanges trade in USD, INR, Euro, GBP and JPY. So all the major currencies are available on Indian exchanges. So why exchanges I am recommending, though those exchanges are there for almost 10-12 years, why we are talking about currency exchanges today? So COVID-19 has created a unique situation that when we were going in the line with increasing market hours and sometime over the future, we were thinking of making our markets 24 hours like cross market overseas. Rather, today we have a situation that markets are open between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. That means the banks accept your orders of hedging or all receivables and payables between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. While as the exchanges are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. like the old timing. What it makes is any event happening before 10 o'clock or after 2 o'clock, you can always take the benefit. With the bank, what will happen? The next day market will open at a gap. either upward or downward. But till such time the exchanges are open till 5 o'clock, you are having the avenue to hedge your forex and keep yourself protected. Secondly, market-based, margin-based exposure is a unique feature of exchange. So exchange is not like bank where they assess your limit, take your collateral, securities and drawing power, etc. There is a simple method of keeping margin, and against that margin you trade. So margin is approximately 3%. So a situation which arises in the month of February, March, mostly the customers of Yes Bank, they were deprived of hedging in Yes Bank because the bank itself was in a problem. So in such scenario also you need an alternate, and that alternate has to be quick. Moving to another bank will take you 2 months. It is not so easy, but you can open an account with any member of the exchange, that is a broker. There are close to 2,000 such entities, and you can start hedging your forex risk without losing on time, without losing most important, like in the month of February when currency had already started depreciating, and some such customers of Yes Bank, they were handicapped because they were unable to hedge. Ease of trading is one of the unique feature of exchanges, because like you trade in stock market, this is also as simple. So brokers can provide you even mobile app or a online browser based system. Of course, traditional system of calling and giving the order is also possible. You know what is the hassle with trading in bank? Like at 10 o'clock, if you try to call a bank, many times you may come across a situation the banker is not lifting your phone and the rates will move. While as in exchange, anytime between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can at a press of button hit your trade. Because of very large number of participants available in exchange, the bid-ask rates are very, very fine. They are only quarter paisa. Means if the rupee dollar is, we say 75.64, the rates are like 74.6400 and 6425. Only quarter paisa gap between buyer and seller. And beauty of this rate is you can actually trade at this rate. There is another advantage of exchanges. Like in banks, what happens is, depending on your volume with that bank will give you either fine rate or a poor rate. But in exchange, the trades are like in the multiple of $1,000. So the person with $1,000 exposure also gets the same rate which a person with $2 million trade will get. Okay, so that is the transparency and ease of operating in exchange. There is a minimal documentation. In banks, you have to give export order, import order every time you book a forward contract, or you have to take a blanket limit at the beginning of the year based on your projections. As I said, in exchange, it is a margin-based trading. You just punch your order. As long as you have kept the margin, there is, even if somebody takes a reverse position, then also there is no question asked, because this is a totally different system. Okay, yeah. So next advantage of futures exchanges, there are no deliveries. Means your export and import payments will happen through your banks. You don't have to give any payments or dollars to exchange. So exchange contracts are settled by way of a simple rollover. So if suppose you have taken a contract or you've taken a hedge of May and your export realization is not happening, you just roll over it to June. It's very easy. Just keeping 2 orders in the bank, you can do that. Sometimes there are even arbitrage opportunities over bank. So like after 2 o'clock, the markets will have different dimensions and the rates can move accordingly. If your one leg is already hedged in your bank, you can do second leg in the exchange and just make a free money available at times. It is not always available. Exchanges do daily mark-to-market settlement, so there is no shock or surprise after 1 month or 2 months that you have lost so much. Every day you come to know whether your position is giving you good profit or good whatever. If it is negative, it's negative. Okay. Then there is an overall capping on the limit. So you don't have to take a limit like banks by making an application and a credit appraisal. There is an overall limit of $100 million, which is pretty huge limit. One can take large positions in that. Only thing is 3% margin you have to keep at all time with the exchange. Exchange has a very, very transparent system because you can see the entire order book on your screen and any member can see it from anywhere. So generally when you do a trade with the bank, there is a bargaining method. You will say, thoda improve karo, mujhe to CNBC pe ye rate dikh raha hai. Exchange is not like that. Whatever rates you see next top 5 buyers and top 5 sellers with their quantities are seen on the screen. Okay, so whether you want to buy or sell, it is up to you. Okay, you can trade on exchange very, very smoothly. And the unique feature is, if you are not happy with the rate, because many times you must have disputed a rate with the bank saying, अरे यार उस वक्त तो ये भाव था, आपने मुझे ये दिया. Exchange में there is nothing of that sort. For every order there is a trade number, and even if you have some doubt, SEBI has, which is a regulator, has an arbitration facility where you can file your case. It doesn't happen in OTC. Okay, you finally accept the rate which is given by the bank. Now, with this, what I can give, these USPs are definitely there. You, as an exporter or importer, you can always, consider these benefits. And if you have a broker, you can approach them and open the account. But we as Greenback, we recommend Ventura Securities, which is a very, very technology savvy broking company with a very large setup of almost 1,500 employees. And that gives you ease of trading on your just a mobile. There is a simple app through which anytime you can monitor the position. But of course, the decision is finally yours. So these are the silent features of currency futures exchange. I will tell you one of the recent incidents in the month of February. Once RBI intervened in the market, the intervention happened through futures exchange. I mean, you can see what kind of depth it is having. Daily volumes are close to $1 billion, almost 80,000 crores. And at any point of time, the positions which are there in the market, they are crossing $2 billion. Okay, so the markets have really developed and they are going into the next this thing. They are at international standards. Worldwide also, currency exchanges are very popular. So as an alternate to your existing hedging mechanism, which is with the bank, you try to do this. You yourself watching the screen will come to know advantages. Rates, I can assure you, they are most transparent, and whatever quantities within that limit you want to trade, generally the transaction will happen with a single rate. Okay, in banks which generally have a problem, bank says that it is of not a lot size, which is a $1 million. So sometimes you have to wait for 2-3 minutes. Nothing of that sort happens in exchange. At any point of time, when the market is open, your trade will go. Well, these are the advantages of trading in this thing, but we wanted to make this as a more interactive session. So as Manish said, now we throw the webinar open for question and answer. Whatever you feel like, you can ask and we'll try to give the answers. And any transaction specific information, or you want to do any further study of your exposure, our numbers and email IDs are given here. So Manish, please.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I hope the two speakers have been good enough to throw light on both currency markets and the problems that people are facing in this COVID era. This is the time to actually open up and ask your questions to our learned panelists. If you are logged into the Zoom app, you have a tab called Q&A. Please click on the Q&A tab and ask questions. We'll be more than happy to answer. If you have joined through YouTube, you could ask questions by either sending a WhatsApp to Jailesh or Preeti, alternatively sending an email at advisory@greenback.in. So, friends, we throw up this session is now open for Q&A. We look forward to your questions and hopefully to answer and provide a solution which might add value to you.
I think, Manish, till the time the participants ask their first question, and generally this is a big question always in the minds of every exporter and importer, where dollar is headed, means rupee is headed against dollar.
Well, Narendra, the way I look at it is, if I knew the exact answer, I would be God, but I can make a guesstimated guess to it. We are in difficult times where there are several factors which are working against us. The exports have dropped. Obviously, the imports have also dropped. The good part for India is the oil prices have also dropped, and there is a chance that this time our current account deficit will really become nearly zero, or it could surprise with a positive number. On the other hand, the FIIs, who are heavily invested in the Indian market, have withdrawn from the market. And as you can see, the FII flows in the, except for the month of January, have been on the negative side. And this has been one reason why UP has actually weakened to this extent. It is typically the FII flows and their exit which has caused this. Fortunately, for us, the RBI has always been vigilant, and they have been intervening as we keep hitting above the 76, or as we touch the 77 level, and they have prevented depreciation above 77. Unfortunately, the stimulus measures, actually brought out by the government will definitely put some stress on the fiscal situation, which could result in a rating downgrade for the country, which is negative for rupee. So, it's a mixed bag, but I would say that rupee should be in the range of 74.80 to 76.80, and downside being a buy and upside being a sell in this range. And I would say that at least for the next 2 months, month and a half while the lockdown continues, we should see rupee hover around these ranges. So there are a couple of questions that I am seeing on my screen. What is the difference between futures and options as regards to forex trading, Narendra?
Yeah. So I think your question is little on academic side, but I will explain. Futures are, you can say theoretically it is similar to forward, except the change is due date. So futures have a fixed due date. In Indian exchanges, it is last date of the month, means 2 days before the actually end because of some holidays, etc. So that day the contract has to settle. Either you close it or you roll it over. Options is like what we call is like insurance, wherein you have right but no obligation. So when you are in call option, that means you agree to purchase, but it is not binding because you already paid the premium. If the rates are not favorable, you can just allow the contract to lapse. This is for the buyer. Of course, seller's liability is always unlimited. So option is little complex in nature. Pricing is always a challenge with reading markets and watching the screens regularly. One can get a very good knack of options. But to start with, if you are not aware of it, don't start with options. You can start with forwards and futures and then migrate to options. But definitely it makes a lot of economic sense to use options at times.
Thanks, Narendra. Next question is, if the US economy is expected to go down by 25%, what will be the impact on dollar and rupee?
Manish, or you only?
My view is if US economy goes down by 25%, I'm sure India will also go down. Hopefully not more than 25%. And if it is less than 25%, then it is good for the rupee. If it is more than 25%, it is bad for the rupee. My guess is economies across the world are already shrinking, and the impacts or the full-blown impact of this will probably be seen in the quarters ahead. But I think the markets are forward-looking, and probably they have factored in whatever market expectations are there on the shrinkages in the size of the economy. Hopefully that helps you answer the question. Next question is, and this is for you, Narendra. What will be the income tax impact of profit and loss in FNO?
Okay, so income tax had an amendment few years back, in which profits and losses made on in recognized stock exchange are treated as business income. So there is no more, hanging sword that it will be treated as a speculation and then you have to carry it forward. So that ambiguity is gone. As far as we always recommend one should use these platforms or whatever for hedging. So hedging means there is an underlying. So whatever you trade here, there is an underlying. So you can always justify, even if that provision is there or not, to income tax department that this is your hedging P&L. It is not speculative. Okay. So now absolutely this question should not arise because recognized stock exchange word has been added in the chapter for business income. I don't recollect the exact section number. You can verify with your auditors. So it is a business income.
Okay. Next is, can you give us any case study of cancellation of export orders worth $100,000 booked at 72? How to minimize the loss? Ganesh, will you like to take this? Ganesh?
Unmute.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there are two options for him. One is either he waits for a correction in the rupee and cancels it to minimize the loss, or alternatively, he has to roll it over. So his fresh forward will be at the current spot rate. If he is that is subject to expecting some shipments to happen in future.
Thanks, Ganesh. The next question is, what would be the role of Greenback Advisory and Ventura for SME merchant exporters? Narendra, would you like to take that?
Yeah. So basically, anything you want to do on exchange, we recommend Ventura. Of course, if you already have account with some other member broker, you can continue with that. Why we recommend Ventura, I already explained. They understand the corporate side very well. They have a proper hedging desk, and they provide the platform as an exporter or even an importer would require it. Means where the difference is, generally you must have seen once you open account, you get a lot of SMSs of support levels and trade levels, etc., which a hedger should not be doing. Hedger should trade only when he has an order, and only when the money is received or paid, he should cancel it. So Ventura understands the specific requirements of a specific customer. So, and the most important is the technology part. Greenback, we are purely an advisory company. Okay, you can contact us for all your risk management related queries or requirements, and our team will be able to give you a customized solution. So I can just give you one example, like some of you of members of SRTPC might be purchasing raw material from a local company, but that price is based on international price, which since you are not importing, if you go to bank, you may not be able to hedge, or you don't know even, but definitely your import or raw material price is based on, say, crude oil fluctuation as well as rupee dollar fluctuation. And you want a customized solution, how you can protect your future purchases. There definitely we can add value. We have done such exercise for few companies who have indirect imports, means in their balance sheet, there is no foreign exchange exposure, but ultimately they are affected by foreign exchange rate. So similar such possibilities can always be thought of, what we can do and minimize the cost.
Thanks, Narendra.
Manish ji, if I may, sorry, I just had one thing which I would like Narendra ji or Mr. Ganesh Srinivasan to highlight us. See, most of the exporters, the small and medium scale enterprises, they are aware of hedging, like forward contracts, futures, etc. Not many are aware of the options. So what I would like, once the question and answer session ends, please give us a detailed explanation of a 5-10 minute session on options and how to insure yourself, with an example of, say, for example, if I want to hedge $100,000, so should I go, and what would be the effect if it's a forward contract, and what would happen if it's options, and the likely scenario when the maturity date comes. So give 2 examples so people can understand better that what will be the final risk, and they can take a call. Right now, my advice to all our members would be insurance against forex volatility. Do not try to that's what is more important. Then once the situation settles, we can look at other more volatile options. So like once this ends, I would request you to explain in detail about options. Thanks.
Sure, we will do that. The next question is, will exports be given any special scheme from the center to boost it further? I'll take this question. And as of now, the government has actually not come out with anything specific for exporters, except on the regulatory side, they've extended the period for realization, which earlier was 6 months to 9 months. So government has recognized the fact that there could be a delay in realization, and as a result of it, they've extended, or RBI has gone ahead and extended the period for realization. Other than that, no specific scheme, to the best of my knowledge, have been announced by the central government, which is specifically targeted at exports. I think the focus right now of the government is self-reliance. So majorly probably more towards import substitution. The way the world is going right now, I think the world is also looking inside rather than looking outside. So many countries are also going to follow our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, asking people to be more nationalistic and buy local stuff. But anyway, as of now, to your specific question, no specific scheme has been announced by the center, to the best of my knowledge. Narendra, you have any different take on this?
Yeah, I think since this COVID has started, rupee has weakened by 6 to 7%. So all exporters, they are getting that benefit. That's what government might be thinking. Now they are
It's the other way around. In fact, exporters have hedged at 72, 73 levels, and right now we are bleeding because we could not, fulfill the contracts.
I know.
Yeah, so from that perspective, Ronakji, government, at least a couple of banks that I'm aware of, and Ganesh did touch upon this during his presentation, is that couple of banks like SBI and PNB have announced a special program or a scheme for clients wherein their forex losses have been converted to a term loan, and this will be serviced over a 1 year by the client. So effectively what has happened is that the immediate impact of that cash flow of the loss has been amortized or deferred over a year.
No, I understand that, but again, that's there's an interest component to that thing being to a loss being converted to a term loan. So it's not, it's just trying to extend the hurt. No, actually, as a council, as an export promotion council, we had written directly to the RBI seeking a one-time allowance of a one-time cancellation because of the COVID uncertainty. Say, for example, any contract maturing in April and May. Of course, it was not very, very practical. We knew it was not going to be heard, but we did recommend and request them that allow us a one-time cancellation so that exporters don't bleed in already on cancelled orders, on shipments which are already stuck. We're still expecting a reply. We're following up on that, but we're trying our best. I know it's not workable, but it's a thing to try.
No, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yep. So a couple of questions have just come in, so I'll take one of them. Dollar is at the all-time high, but again, exporters' cost of production too is expected to rise, seeing the various roadblocks one sees. I really am unable to understand this question clearly, but only thing I could say is, frankly, the rupee is also at an all-time low, and as a result, and plus we still have a 4% premium available to us. So, it is possible for you to capture the high dollar rupee rate and also the premium, so as to take benefit of the higher exchange rate to offset the higher cost of production. The next question is regarding the interest equalization, and it says interest equalization is extended for 1 year, which is good for exporters. Answer is yes, it is good for exporters because you are getting subsidy. So at least for an additional 1 year, you will get subsidy, which is good for exporters. Your interest cost will reduce. So the next thing is, I'm expecting a $200,000 payment between 15th June and 30th June. How do I hedge, future hedge this thing? Narendra, future hedging?
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah, so currently rupee dollar is quoting at 75.60. June month, still end of the June, future premium is around 30 paise. Okay, so you have to sell 200 lots of dollar. One lot is $1,000. You can do in a staggered manner. Everything you don't have to do at one go, and capture that 30 paisa prevailing premium. Now, I will also answer further questions. What happens if your payment comes on 15th, 20th, and 30th? Okay. You have taken the premium up to 30th June into consideration. So generally, when you do forward contract, you have to do specific 15-day or 30. And then if you do complete range, then you'll get the rate of 15th. Okay. But you are allowed to give delivery till 30th June. Here, the beauty is, even if suppose your payment comes on 17th June, you can cancel the leg, but you will get the premium till 17th. Okay, if it comes on 23rd, you will get, means that time the premium which is 30 paisa today must have shrunk to some 6-7 paisa. It is actually daily 1 paisa you can calculate, ballpark figure. Okay, so you can exactly get the premium till that date, which is not possible in forward contracts. So on 30th June, on the last day, if you receive, the full premium will be in your pocket. So very easy sort of a contract, you can do that way.
Okay. Thanks, Narendra. The next is it advisable to keep funds in EFC account or cash? It is as and when the remittance coming. So basically the questions are, should I maintain EFC balances? So, you know, I would look at it very much from an arbitrage perspective. And the way I would look at it is, if you have funds in the EFC account, they are not going to be bearing any interest. While if you convert it to local currency, you will at least reduce your CC balances, or you will pay off your export loans. So there is a cost of keeping money in EFC. As long as you do not have a matching import liability in the near future, it might make more sense to convert the money from EFC into cash and reduce your interest cost. Unless, of course, you see, you know, one-off cases that rupee is jumping every day by 50 paisa, then it could be a different answer. But in most of the cases, unless you have a matching import payment in the next few days, it would generally make more sense to encash the EFC account and convert it into cash or into local currency. So Narendra, by the time I think people will put in more questions, would you like to quickly explain options?
Yeah. So I think Ronakji, you gave partial answer. You mentioned that at 72, all your members have hedged, and today they are pleading. Am I right? So that's exactly where they could have done options. Suppose rupee was in a weakening zone. Okay, instead of taking a complete forward or futures position, if they would have taken option position of some say strike, say 73. Okay, whatever has happened.
Sorry, just, you know, if we just talk, say, let us talk of a current situation. Say I have $100,000 exposure. Now, if today, if I want to hedge it for the month of hedge it for June 30. Okay, so what would be the effect on a forward contract, and what would be the premium or the expenditure on options, and what would it be if I don't whatever this, and let us assume the rate is 76 on June 30. So what would be the effect? Yeah. Just if you give an example, our members will understand better. That's what I think.
Okay.
Otherwise you can carry.
Okay. So now today we are at say around 75.50. Now, first of all, there is a particular assumption which I have to make where I see rupee. Okay. And accordingly, my hedging decisions will be, though one has to 100% hedge, all those things agree. But suppose at 75.50, I feel the downfall is sufficient enough. Government is taking measures, economy is opening. So rupee may start appreciating to say 74 or 74 half. Okay. My instrument of hedging will be plain vanilla forward or futures, where I will grab the premium, which is around 30 paise per month. Now
So
take the
end June is 76 today.
so end June is, so now suppose the 75.50 is the current price, 30 paisa premium, it is 75.80. I am getting 75.80 in futures. Okay. Now where the tricky situation arises is, I feel dollar can go to 77, okay, or 78. Now the options come in picture where I feel it can go to 77, but it doesn't go, it goes to 74. Then on the day my payment comes on 30th June, I will not get 76 also, I'll not get 75.50 also, I may get 74 or 74 and a half. So that's where I will go with a put option, wherein I will protect that if it goes below 75, my downside is protected. Okay. And anything upward, whether it is 76, 77 or 78, I am in the money. Now we have to again see the time horizon. Well, we have only 1 month, 10 days, 40 days. The next question comes, whether in 40 days it will go to 77. In February, it was possible. In 3-4 days, we have lost 1 rupee. Okay. So now situation is going in little stable manner. So it may happen on 30th June, that situation may not come, but in July, it may again come 77. Okay. So time factor is also very, very crucial when you decide to go in an options contract than a plain vanilla future or forward. So there are multiple factors. As I said, the strike price, what we call, at which I take the hedge position. In forward and future, that decision is not there. Whatever market is quoting for that maturity month end, we get that rate in our books. But here my decision is whether I should hedge at 77, 76.50 or 76. And accordingly, my premiums will get decided. As we go more out of market, so 77, my premium will be very thin, say 10 paisa. Okay. So, but my profit will start accruing only when it crosses 77. While as in that scenario, my futures forward contracts will straight away give me 30 paisa earning. So currently, I would suggest importers can protect their downside by entering into options contract, but exporters should cap in their forward premium by entering in forward contract or a futures contract. And what we take as a benchmark rate in any hedging. So suppose today you are picking up an order from your customer, naturally you are quoting based on the rate available today, say 75.50. So you have got the order at 75.50. Futures will give you 30 paisa premium or forwards. Okay. So that is over and above the pricing. Okay. Sometimes you may count the order with that 30 paisa premium to be more competitive. It is worthwhile to lock in forwards than options, because in option, if it doesn't cross beyond that and instead it goes down, you will make losses.
So I will add something to what Narendra said, and probably look at the way you can look at the basket. So if you have a significant profitable position, the profits you can probably hedge with options, and the actual cost of production part of your sales should be hedged probably to futures, because there is more certainty on the cash flow there when it links to the sale. That is where you have a confirmed order. But if you don't have confirmed order or you're not sure of your cash flows, probably options are better than futures or forwards for hedging. Of course, choosing a strike and timing and all these are a complex game. So which probably will take me more than a couple of hours to explain. So I would suggest that if you want more inputs on how you can hedge futures options on a specific case basis, please feel free to connect with us and we'll be able to guide you and help you on that.
So I think on Manish, in chat window, there are some questions, I think. Or I think
chat window, I think we have answered those questions. Everybody is asking us for the copy of the PPT. we will share it with the association and we'll request the association to circulate the same.
And this particular today's complete presentation is recorded on YouTube. So even
we will also share a recording of this session of today. So you can always go back and have a look at it in the future.
So Manish, I think I will just ask you one more question about this whole package which has been announced. From the perspective of where we see India's deficit and resultant impact on the currency, just on macro level, not very detailed.
Correct. So Modi ji had promised a 10% of a GDP package. When we actually went down to, again, we don't know the full impact because we have not seen all the schemes in black and white. But from the announcement that followed with the finance minister giving out the estimates, I would estimate the package being more towards 2.5% of GDP and not 10% of GDP. So there is a hole in the balance sheet of the country, but probably not as big a hole as envisaged by the Prime Minister. And this would probably be a saving grace, and this probably could be one reason why the rating agencies may hold off downgrading credit risk of the current of India, and which is definitely positive for the rupee. So that is the only perspective that I see, that from rupee in the package is the package when announced was approximately 10% of GDP, but from what I could compile from whatever limited information is available till now, I think it will be end up at around 2.5% of GDP, which is not as bad as 10%. So I think this will basically ensure that our ratings are not compromised, and most of the items on the package, there was no direct cash transfer. There are majorly loans that the government has announced. So loan is money which you have to return to the government. So when you say lower TDS, it does not mean that you have more money, you have more cash flow. It does not change profitability. So from that perspective, the package was more towards funding rather than actual subsidy. So the government was giving you more money, it was throwing more money, but it was returnable and it had a cost to it.
Now, one question, this is my personal opinion or thinking. You see, in the current scenario, what is going to happen, a lot of countries are going to print currency to meet the requirement. What is going to happen in that, like, okay, and of course, that leads to inflation. That's all basic micro and macro level economics. What is going, and they will deal with inflation later on, because right now they just want to focus on something which they will survive for the next 1 or 2 years, etc. What will happen to the currency if India takes that stand?
So I think India has in a way indicated of taking that stand by going for that 2.5% of GDP package. Well, every country in the world today wants inflation. So if you look at Europe, US, they are trying to see where problem is, there is no inflation. Japan has no inflation, Europe has negative interest rates, US practically has zero interest rate. So, you know, the situation is such that today everybody wants inflation. So printing to generate inflation is not a challenge, but I think everybody is printing. So you're probably at the same situation, right? The guy who prints more will be worse off than the rest. So as long as everybody is moving in the same track, there is no challenge.
So it's relativity.
Exactly.
So who is printing more? So if everybody prints 2%, then again exchange rate is same.
I think everyone is going to print. That is the...
Yeah, but who prints more and who prints less? That is the key now.
Yeah, depends on that. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah. So other day I was asked this question. So I said, let's be in ink business. So we are all
paper also.
Paper, I think. Yeah. Anyway, any other question, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think the rest we can take offline whenever they send us an email or WhatsApp.
Sure. So, at the end of it, I would like to thank everybody for spending their time and attending this session. And I hope it has added value to you. And Greenback keeps doing a lot of sessions on a regular basis. You can always hit our Twitter handle or our LinkedIn handle and keep following us on those platforms to know which are the next webinars we are going to conduct. Incidentally, Friday we are planning a webinar on regulatory issues, and if you are interested, please check out our site www.greenback.in and register for them. So with that, thank you
Speaker,
once
Manish,
again.
about the speaker for that.
Yeah, the speaker there is Mr. Ram Subramaniam, who is an ex-GM of the Reserve Bank of India, and he was instrumental in drafting FEMA. So he has an extremely good insight into FEMA, and this is basically going to cover changes in FEMA post-COVID, especially for importers and exporters, because there have been relaxations made by RBI, and a lot of people probably are not aware of what are the exact changes made. And what can be done. So, and what cannot be done. So from that perspective, that session is being organized and targeted. So once again, thank you very much for spending your time and participating in it. Thank you, Ronak ji, for giving us your platform to address your members.
No, thank you.
Thank you once again. See you,
Absolute
friends.
pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you again for the insightful, webinar, and I hope our members can, really benefit from it. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ganesh ji, Manish ji,
Bye.
Manendra. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.